Well, today Riders Range is going to take a look at new versus old. Thanks for joining us. And on top is new, well, not all brand new, but I bought this a few years ago. It is a Sig 238 caliber 380 pistol. Nice little gun. We'll talk more about it in just a minute. I want to compare that with my first 380 that I gave to my daughter as a commissioning present, actually graduation from college and commissioning in the United States Air Force, a Sig 230 380. I carried this as an off-duty gun for a while back in the late 80s, early 90s, and presented it to her upon getting commissioned in the United States Air Force as a second lieutenant. The case that it's in obviously is not something that it came in, something that I put together for her, complete with the United States Air Force logo, everything contoured for the Sig. But this particular Sig is, as I said, the first 380 that I owned, and in a lot of ways it's similar, but in an awful lot of ways it's different than the nice little Sig 238. There is certainly a difference in size, substantial difference in size, and width, slide profile is a little narrower, at least appears narrower on the nice little Sig 230. Grips, on the other hand, on the Sig P230 are much, much fatter than on the 238. Both 380s, both single stack, and both hold 7 rounds in the magazine and 1 more in the chamber. Well, let's see, some substantial differences. Well, now that I got a magazine in, let's start with the difference in how you get the magazine out. The old European way is magazine release on the heel of the grip, and the more modern way, push button on the side, magazine pops out. Magazines are also a little different in size. The one for the 238 is substantially shorter than the one for the Sig P230. Both hold 7 rounds in the magazine. Witness holes, and numbered, of course, on the old Sig 230. Witness holes not numbered on the Sig magazine for the 238. 238 also does come with a flush magazine. All right, so single action, and does have a manual thumb safety, 1911-ish, but a lot of differences, of course, for 1911, other than the general angle of the grip and the position of the thumb safety and the slide stop lever. This has one of the easiest racking slides of any gun that I own. Many Sigs comes with 3-dot sights. These are night sights, and you know my opinion on 3-dot sights, but on a little pistol like this, it does work out well. And I'll also point out something a little different on this that you don't see on a regular 1911 is the safety does not block the slide. It only stops the hammer from falling. And it means you can rack the slide with the safety on. You can put the safety on with the hammer down, and then you can't cock the gun. See, this also does have a pivoting trigger. We'll talk about trigger weights in just a minute, whereas a regular 1911 has a sliding trigger. No matter where you put your finger on it, you're going to get about the same pull to the rear. The pivoting trigger, of course, the farther down your finger is toward the bottom, the farther your pressure point is from the pivot, the lighter it's going to feel. The higher up your finger is, the closer to the pivot, the stronger the trigger pull is going to feel. The 230 is a double action first shot. This gun is unloaded, by the way, and has a decocker. So once you've chambered around, decock the hammer, and first shot's going to be double action, again pivoting trigger, and long trigger pull on this gun. Then once it cycles, a fairly short reset, but again a lot of take up after that reset, and a very light single action pull. 238 on the other hand, a little bit of take up, very little movement, no over travel, very crisp, clean trigger, short reset, and almost to the full, but again it's a short trigger, so it's not a real big issue. Rear cocking serrations on the 238, rear cocking serrations on the 230. External extractor on the 230, on the 230, not on the 238. So let's see, sights on this are a plain white dot front and a white notch rear. And not real huge sights, but again, it's a concealment gun. So let's see how much difference there are for 8-shot guns on the scale. All right, the original 230 with a magazine with 7 rounds in it and one more 95 grain round for the chamber, and we have 20.8 ounces. Put the 238 back on, and we have 17.8, so 3 ounces lighter for the 238 versus the 230, and lighter, smaller. And what about the difference in trigger pull? Gun is cleared and empty. And if I put the trigger gauge at the bottom of the trigger, because of the way the pivoting point is right here at the top of the frame, then let's see what this actually pulls out at. And again, at the bottom of the trigger, there we go, 4 pounds, 3.9 ounces when I pull it a little straighter from the bottom. So we got less than a 5-pound trigger on the 238. Now let's pull it from the center and see what the difference is. 6 pounds, 1.8 ounces pulled from the center. When I work the trigger on this gun, I'm feeling most of the pressure right here at the bottom. So it only feels like about a 5-pound trigger pull. So let's see on the 230. Decocked, let's try the double action first. 7 pounds, 9 ounces for the double action pull. Let's try the single action. 3 pounds, 6 ounces for the single action. Very nice single action pull. Not a bad gun. Different for the double action, single action, first and second shots. These guns are significantly different in how they come apart, however. The 238 is a recoil operated type gun. It's a locked link similar to what you see on a 1911, although again this is 1911-ish. But you pull the pin, slide the frame off, pull the recoil assembly out. Here's one area where it's different than the 1911. 1911, the barrel would slide out the front. Here it's more like your striker fired guns, slides out the back. So fairly easy to put back together. Just got to make sure that the recoil assembly is all the way down. And right here, you got to make sure that's pushed down under the slide as it comes back. And slide stop lever goes in. There's a spring here, and you got to make sure that the when you put this back together, that the spring will hold down on the slide stop lever. Not difficult to do, just got to make sure that it is in the right position. And of course avoid the infamous idiot scratch on this as well as on the 1911s. There, all back together, and it does work. The 230, however, is totally different. Flip down the takedown lever at the front, cock the hammer. By the way, make sure that these are fully unloaded to start with. And you lift the breech off the back, and the barrel is fixed into the frame. A little more in the way of a mechanism in here, but not a lot. Again, it's a pivoting trigger, much as the other is, except it has a different way of functioning from the 1911s. And to put it back together, just the opposite. Pull back until it, well, Get all the parts in the right place until it locks into place. Lever up, and the 230 is all back together. Nice and simple. We'll do it the other hand so you can see more what's happening with it. That's it. That's how easy they come apart. Again, old versus new. So I don't know what else I can tell you about the guns other than they don't make the 230 anymore. They made a stainless version of this for a while. I haven't checked the catalog lately to see if they do. But again, it's more of a it's an older European style gun as opposed to a more modern American pocket gun. I certainly wouldn't consider the 230 a pocket gun. It is a nice gun. We're going to take them to the range and we're going to see how they shoot. Ryder's Range is here at Magnum Shooting Center in Colorado Springs. Lovely indoor range, fantastic staff, just as friendly and as helpful and courteous as you can ask for. There's a little noise going on in the background. It's a public range, so we'll do our best to get through this. We're going to be looking at the P230 380 versus the newer one anyway, but we're going to see what the difference is between these two 380s. Now, bearing in mind that this 230 I have not shot in well over 20 years. Remember, that was a graduation and commissioning gift for my daughter when she graduated from college and joined the Air Force. So I have not shot this since I gave it to her a long time ago. We're going to see how it works today, and we'll see how things work here at Magnum Ryder's Range. Alright, that was the first mag out of the Sig P230 at 15 yards. Not quite what I had hoped. We'll bring the target back and we'll see how the 238 compares to it. Alright, Sig 238 at 15 yards here at Magnum Shooting Center. Sig 238, 15 yards. We'll have to say that the 238 does shoot a little bit better at 15 yards than the old 230. Interesting also, much bigger grip on this, so on the 230, so it's much easier to hang on to than the small grip on the 238. With the extended magazine, it makes the 238 a little more shootable, but also the straight blowback design with the fixed barrel has more noticeable recoil than the link barrel recoil operated 238. So give it a choice right now at 15 yards. I'm going to go to the 238 versus the 230, but let's run them down to the full end of the range, which is about 20, almost 24 yards here, and let's see what they do. I'm going to put the same targets up, but I'll mark the old holes. All right, we still got the target up for the Sig 238. It's down to 23 yards maximum distance indoors, and we're going to see if this little 380 will work at 23 yards at Magnum Shooting Center on Ryder's Range. Failed to fully extract, eject. Another failed to fully eject. Maybe the ammunition, we're using PMC ammunition on this. It hasn't really been a problem. We'll see how it holds up the other gun here in just a minute. All right, we're going to try the Sig 230 at 23 yards here at Magnum, see how that works with PMC ammunition. They're still shooting about the same place they were at 15 yards, a little high left. Not bad for the old gun, and totally reliable, unlike the 238 that had those two failures with that PMC ammo. The old, the Sig P230, the new, or the newer, the Sig P238. Well, they both have their own good features. This was a good hand-sized gun, not a pocket gun by any means. Shoots a little looser than the 238 does. So far with PMC, the old one more reliable. So, just a real quick look at the old versus the new on Riders Range. All right, interesting range session between the Sig P230 from late 80s and the Sig P238 from just 3 or 4 years ago. And do I have a preference? Well, obviously for a pocket gun, I'll take the 238 any day. But there's still some nostalgic history for the Sig 230. It's in my daughter's hands now. Does she shoot it? No, she's got a couple of Glocks that she much prefers to this. But again, it's the sentimental value and something that will probably stay in its case for a long time to come. If you like these videos, we appreciate the thumbs up. Certainly appreciate you subscribing and clicking the notifications bell so you know what's coming up next. Any comments on this video, please drop it in the link below. And any comments on anything in general, things you might like to see in the future on Riders Range, drop a comment to our website at info@ridersrange.com to see the playlist of what's coming up or what we've done in the past with direct links to the videos. Go to www.ridersrange.com. So we appreciate your visiting us, and again, thanks for tuning in to Riders Range.